And we're live. Hello, everybody. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their very busy day and coming together with us. Thank you so much. I am here at Enchante head office or warehouse distributorship with owner Anuj, which a lot of you are familiar with. None of you have seen him before. I've never seen him until today. So I want to thank Anuj for actually allowing me into his home and showing me around. I've been here for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and just kind of discovering the place for myself before we went live. So Anuj, thank you so much for, allowing us into your space.
No problem. No problem. My pleasure.
This is
great. Long overdue too. So
yeah, I mean, I've always talked about, and I was just telling you how I'd love to incorporate traveling the world, in different aspects of the perfume sector, be it with vendors, distributors, boutiques, perfumers, manufacturers of fragrance, and just, travel and do that. And this, my manifestations come into life like you've invited me here. So, it's all meant to be, right?
You get a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Rather than just talking about, notes and stuff all the time.
Right.
To get to see, the way things are done differently.
Yes, absolutely. You guys are in for a treat. If there's anything specific that you would like to see or know from Anuj, please drop it in the comments. I don't know how active I'll be able to follow the comments. I'll try my best, but I just really want to spend time with Anuj and talk to him and get to know, what he does here on a day-to-day aspect and stuff like that. So you've been doing this for how long now?
Oh, well, I'm a retail baby, so I was born into this business. I started working for my father, I guess. Well, my first job was working at the local Dominion and then Loblaws grocery store around the corner from home. And that lasted 2 summers. And then my dad said, okay, good. So you know how to work. Now you're going to work for me. So I was forced to quit that job. That was like as soon as I got my SIM card, like 13, 14. So I started working for him around 15. And then I got into it really quickly, went to university, did some tax courses, business courses. I took over the business, I really like 1997. I was quite young and stupid. Now I'm just not young, but
yeah. So would you trade this job for anything else? Like, did you have your sights on any other type of work, or
No.
are you happy? Does this kind of work fulfill you?
I'm good at it and I love it, and it makes me happy. No complaints. Lucky and blessed.
We were talking earlier about, Anuj does get to enjoy the streams, and he finds it really fascinating that there's so many perfume enthusiasts here. And, he did say he loves perfume, but kind of on a different level than us. Like, he's not really into the notes and stuff, but he appreciates perfume in a different aspect. Can you kind of go over that story and tell us, what is it about fragrance that you love? What draws you to fragrance?
Well, more the business aspect. And obviously, if I didn't say money is a factor, that's bullshit. But a lot of it is I love to talk and discuss about distributorship, license changing hands when a smaller company is bought out by a bigger company, or just the memories that I have of when I bought a certain lot, or a deal that I made with an old supplier that maybe now is working for someone else, or something that's really cool that I love about this business is when I have someone that I work with who was like a junior sales rep. They started at the bottom of their company, and now 10 years later, they're working somewhere else, or they've gone high up through the chain of their company. And it's really cool to see that, to remember where they came from and what they're doing now. And just remembering a lot of the old, back in the day when there were a lot more distributors who were Canadian owned companies who had only a few brands, but there were a lot more of them. And then over the years, they would get bought out by bigger companies. But just reminiscing when I see something old and vintage that, I bought this from Mr. Jacques Masson or Jacques Perouse, and just remember my mentors.
Yeah. I want to ask, here on YouTube, what I do, I don't necessarily know all the other YouTubers that do fragrance videos, but I know of them. I've heard of them or I've seen them in passing. Doesn't mean I've spoke to them or have like a personal relationship with them. Are you familiar with all like the other vendors in the area? Do you know them like directly? Do you work with them? Have you heard of them? What like how do you have any sort of interaction with
Yeah, I know of everyone, but I don't really actually probably know everyone.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could name drop any retailer or supplier or whatever. I will have heard of them. Most likely, if they've been around long enough, they will have heard of us as well.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that we have any kind of interaction or whatever.
Okay, so sort of the similar thing that
I think so. It's analogous, right? If you're talking about a lot of these other YouTubers that do videos, no one does kind of anything what you do, but different stuff talking
Right.
about fragrances and stuff.
I guess is part of a certain community, like
Yeah.
a niche community. Tell us a little bit. Okay, so you do run a what would you consider like a discount shop or
I just call it. It's just that we just run a retail store.
a retail store?
There's no real
Okay,
tag on it.
all right. It's really tough to carry Chanel. Tell us about Chanel's distributorship or what you know of it, and kind of the process to get a Chanel license or become like a licensed distributor, or why a lot of people can't carry Chanel, or why you can't even discount Chanel.
So to basically carry Chanel as a small independent retailer it's a very, very tough process. Initially, in the early 80s, Chanel didn't actually distribute their products themselves. There was a local Canadian-owned distributor that distributed their brands for them. They were probably one of the first big boy designer brands to set up thereafter their own offices in Canada. And then since then, top to bottom, they control everything. All their warehousing is done here locally. All the shipping is done by them. They set up the accounts, monitor them. So we've been a Chanel account since 1982. That's one of the reasons why we probably still have access to the accounts, even though, throughout the years, we've reduced the number of stores. But in general, over the last 15 years, I think Chanel has made a mandate that they have. Okay, so there's so many things to cover here. Number one, if you carry their brands, you have to honor a contract with them where you're providing monthly sales. You have an area of the store that before they sell to you, they will pinpoint and say, this is where we want our stuff located in the store. Next to these other high-end brands. You can't have any other trash near our brands. And they'll give you a diagram indicating how everything has to be stored. Like the number 5 has to go here, number 19 has to go here.
Wow.
And within Chanel number 5, it has to be placed in such and such an order.
That's
at
with
all
authority,
times.
it sounds like.
No price stickers on the front, price stickers on the back if you have to. You're not allowed to have, you have a maximum amount of inventory that they will allow you to order and keep in the store at any one time. So they say it doesn't look too trashy. They don't want to, the sales rep doesn't want to come into the store and find you've got 6 bottles of Bleu de Chanel, one specific size sitting on the shelf. They don't want that. 1 or 2 at the most. And you've got the sales reps will come in about 3 or 4 times a year to inspect. If we run low on a tester and you need a new tester, you can't just ask for one. They have to come in. The sales rep have their car stock or their own stock. You have to show them the used tester that you have to say, look, we only have this much left. They'll inspect it, they'll take it, and then give you a new one.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. So what are some of the things that you've heard can happen if you're not a license, but you are caught carrying a Chanel products?
Well, I haven't heard too many stories of those who've got caught who don't carry their stuff, because their stuff is not as readily available on the off market or the parallel market as other brands are. Every other brand, for the most part, and talking about mainstream, I'm talking about anyways, you don't have to be buying officially from the official distributor or the producer. You can find stuff anywhere. Chanel is the hardest stuff. You still can, but you can't. But for the most part, you'll notice that a lot of other websites, most websites locally, Canadian websites, don't have Chanel on their websites, even if they're an account of Chanel. Like, we carry Chanel in our store, but we're not permitted to sell it online.
Right.
Like
Okay.
we've even to the level of we've had customers who used to live in the GTA, visit our stores, and have moved out of province, but they want to deal with us. We can no longer supply them.
Mental. All right, let's switch gears here, and I don't want to pretend like I'm a know-it-all vintage head. You deal in a lot of vintage,
Yeah.
correct? And I don't like vintage. Isn't my go-to. I love modern perfume, but I have a deep appreciation for vintage. Tell us a little bit. I know you have a deeper understanding and knowledge of vintage than I do, and somebody out there that has very little history with vintage. Give us a couple of pieces, five to 10, whatever you would recommend for somebody just getting into vintage. You know, things that people should know or should at least be able to try for reference.
Well, there are some obvious ones that in your community, the ones that are constantly talked about. One that's always is a Kuros, right? You're talking about vintage, but if you're talking about the advice I would give of someone who is gonna like they've never collected vintage and they want to try and get into it, that's not a place where you want to start because you're just going to bankrupt yourself, right? You want to go for some more nondescript. Like what I had a customer the other day who asked about vintage Dracar Noir.
Okay.
That's a good one to start with because that there is still a lot of vintage stock, not a lot, but there's enough vintage stock that can be found out there, and it's not super duper expensive that's gonna eliminate your finances altogether. That's kind of something that you could buy a bottle of that and you could still have enough money to find something else vintage at the same time. But if you want to talk about some of the more popular ones, like okay, we can talk about Kuros, or people are always looking for Dior Homme.
So you think people should start at Kuros when you're
discovering? No, they should not start.
Oh, don't
start at something at these crazy expensive ones. Like I gave the example of Dracar Noir. That's one that if someone came to me off the street and said, I want to buy something vintage, what would you recommend? I say, just as an example, Dracar Noir is one I'd say go for that. Because you can find a vintage bottle of it, quality stuff, and it's not going to break the bank to that level, to the obscene level of some of these others.
Why wouldn't Dracar Noir break the bank, but Kuros would?
I think it's just a matter of hype and popularity.
Is there some supply and demand issues
as
well?
Well, yeah. Because of how popular the vintage Kuros thing has gotten, whoever the fans of Kuros are, they're just buying all this shit.
In bulk, right?
In bulk,
they don't buy one or two.
Yeah. People who want, if they know what they want, like if I know I want this and I have the money to buy, I'm going to buy it.
Do you find a lot of your shop, not a lot, but some of your shoppers will buy multiple bottles of certain things that they love or to hoard or for whatever reason?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If it's something that they find is the pricing works within their budget, and if there's enough quantity available, and it's something that, there's some people only live by one or two fragrances. And it doesn't mean that that
doesn't make sense to me, but
yeah, again, but that could be someone that's not really a fragrance head or not into fragrances in general, but they do like that one specific or those two specific fragrances. We have a lot of customers like that just swear by one or two brands and that's it. That's what they want and that's it.
All right, so you mentioned Kuros and Dracar. What other give us a few more that you would
Fahrenheit by Christian Dior. Dior Homme. Let's see here. Givenchy Gentleman.
Okay. All right.
Monsieur Givenchy is another one.
Monsieur
you
Givenchy.
Can find something in a vintage. Wonderful.
All right. I don't know. Tell us about some of your what's the most bottles you've sold of vintage like at one time to a client?
Well, I mean,
you don't need to say names if it's somebody here.
There's quite a few, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Have you sold more than, let's say, 20 bottles at one time?
I would say at the most I've ever sold no more than maybe a dozen, 12. That's about the cap limit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The most of anything we've ever sold is at one time. I had a customer locally, and this is an example of Chanel, who used to live here, who moved to the States. But when he was here, he used to, I think he used to eat Chanel Pour Monsieur deodorant sticks for breakfast lunch and dinner, because he would buy every 3 months. He would buy 20 or 22 deodorant sticks,
Damn.
like 3 or 4 times a year.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, like that's just one crazy example. Like
that's a
that's
lot
how
of
obsessed.
Right. Okay, give us your scent of the day, and then I guess we'll go have a look around.
Yeah, well, I wore Magnetism by Escada for men. I really enjoy this fragrance. I plopped
That's
that
what
on
he's wearing
today. I don't wear fragrance every day. It was just today because you were coming, so I thought,
okay,
in honor of you, why not, go with the flow when in
it's
Rome.
a nice freshie. It's a lot more interesting. Like, freshies aren't really my thing, but I find this more interesting than a lot of fresh perfumes coming out today.
It's different, and like I mentioned to you earlier, is that as nice of a fragrance it is, and as popular it is now because it's discontinued, didn't sell very well when it was on the market.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to touch on is, what is it with the hysteria that, a fragrance will come out and it won't do very good in sales, but the moment it's discontinued, people go absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, well, it starts at one level. Is that okay? So we were talking about Magnetism specifically. When this launched, it was not the best seller in the world. It actually was a very poor seller, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it did have its little loyal following. And again, like I said, those who liked it. So it starts with that. So that little small group will start hunting because they know it's discontinued. They're like, well, nobody else liked it and I can't get it anymore, but I want it. So they start buying it. But then for some reason in these last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, this vintage thing is just spiraled to some kind of crazy level.
This vortex.
Where people just like, people will say, because it's discontinued, because it's a vintage, I want to try it now because of that now. I didn't want to try it when it was launched.
Do you find people want specifically original release vintages? Like, will they pass over, like, let's say, call it second generation, because they'll pass it over because it's
there are some people who just, if you say it's not an original run first production, like next.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And one time, if you remember on one of the streams, a lot of people probably couldn't hear me because I had the volume problems a couple times. I discussed one funny thing, which Ramsey picked up on as well. Like, I gave an example of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, the classic. When it first changed hands and the license went to P&G, at that time, we had a lot of customers who didn't want to buy anything they came in contact with an old packaging at that time. At that time, the customer that was using Dolce at that time, those men were like, nope, what I see there, that Euroitalia, that's the old packaging. It's probably expired. It's no good. I need the new, fresh packaging.
Which is junk.
Which is fucking 180 now. Of now, no one would.
I went through an entire bottle of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, the original with the sticker on. And it was like, I just remember having so many great scent associations with it. And when I got back into perfume, I was like, I want to revisit that fragrance. And I went and I bought it without knowing anything about reformulations or any kind of concept of that. And when I got the fragrance, I was like, this isn't the same fragrance.
Exactly.
Like, the very first time I wore it, I was like, this is very different. It wasn't a quarter as good as the original. And I was just like disgusted with it, actually, It was just like, oh, this is Drek, like really horrible perfume.
Even the packaging, the box, that velvet of the blue on it was really cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The original packaging.
Let me ask you this. Where does this stuff come from? Like, there's literally there's thousands of boxes everywhere. So how do you go and come about a box of vintage let's say something that's been sitting around for 40 years? How does it end up in your lap? Like, where's this stuff coming from?
Well, everything basically just starts, at least for the way we've done business, is always just buying everything in giant lots and hordes. Or when I think something is going to be discontinued, or if I think something I know that my customers will want, I'll pounce on it. And that means just buying up in not just small quantities, but larger quantities. And sometimes that means having to buy, as I mentioned to you, having to buy stuff that I really don't want to buy. But in order to get the good stuff from my supplier, I got to take the shit with the good.
So it's like a package deal.
Package deals.
Right.
That's a great, that's the word. Package deal. That's how it works.
Nobody wants to split it up.
Nobody wants to split. Why would they? If any supplier were splitting up and piecemealing their stuff, all the good stuff is going to be gone, and they're just going to be sitting with crap.
Right.
right?
Right.
Like if let's say I was a wholesaler and not a retailer, and let's say we'll use Kuros as an example again. Let's say I've got this much Kuros Eau de Toilette vintage, but I've also got all this aftershave and soap and shower gel and aftershave balm. And I say to people, well, I'll wholesale you whatever you want. They're just going to pluck out the EDTs.
The good
And
stuff.
I'm here
With the-
holding a bar of soap in my fucking hand that
Right.
no one wants to buy.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas if I'm a smart wholesaler, I'm going to say, well, guess what? For every one EDT you want to buy, you got to buy a soap and an aftershave balm in a bundle together. And if
Sure.
you don't want to, I'll go to the next guy.
Okay.
That's what most suppliers do.
Okay. So you find
That's how the game is played.
you find yourself sitting on stock for a long time?
Yeah.
Okay, so when a wholesaler calls you today and says, I've got 40 bottles of vintage Kuros or Mitsuko or whatever,
yeah.
like where has this stuff been for the last 40 years?
They may as well have done the same thing that I do. They may have just been sitting on it too, waiting until, okay, they may have said, okay, I bought it at X amount of dollars. I could sell it now for a profit, but I know it's going to be worth more in a package deal where I can rope in and, bundle some more stuff with it and make even more money on it. And that's exactly how it works. They could be sitting on it.
Do you ever worry that supply will run out?
For certain fragrances, yeah.
Do you think there's still good fragrances out there that people are sitting on?
Oh, yeah. There has to be.
Right?
There has to be.
Yeah.
Because if I'm doing it, why is Joe Blow not doing it? I'm not reinventing the wheel here or something, right?
Yeah.
Because we can talk about this about any industry. If you talk about vintage shoes, comic books, posters, hockey cards, same thing. Someone who's like me, the hockey card version of me, if there's some warehouse out there that's selling hockey cards and comic books, they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. Yeah. Batman #1, they bought 50 copies of it and they're just sitting on it.
Right. Yeah. So interesting and fascinating. I've never even contemplated this side of the perfume world, but do you want to have a look around?
Yeah, let's do it. So however you want to do it.
This is going to be interesting. I got to hook up my phone and we're going to go around. So give me a moment. So Anuja's got a fairly large warehouse here, and I'm not going to disclose the location.
No, that's not happening.
It's pretty top secret, so I'm quite honored to be here. Give me one moment, and I'm going to set up here. How creepy is this?
Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Hello? How is the sound? Can you guys hear me okay? Damn. I can hear an echo. I hear a really bad echo too. You want to just watch from here and tell me if there's an echo?
Sure.
Are you getting an echo? Okay, so I'm just looking at some stuff here. No, is it tolerable?
Yeah, it's stabilized.
Okay, I think because we're away from the computer, it might work. Let's start here. Where would you like to start?
I thought because you're a big Guerlain guy, right?
Yeah.
To hit the Guerlain section.
All right. How about you? Can you stand here and hold this?
Sure.
Well, I'm just going to go have a look over there.
Absolutely.
And see if everything is okay.
Absolutely. How you doing? Yeah, good. There's no echo now, is there? No.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, let's go check out Guerlain.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm gonna ask, are you gonna hold the camera?
Whatever you want, you tell me.
Okay, I'll hold the camera and you can
Sure.
kind of pull stuff out of whatever it is you want to show us.
To start off with the Guerlain stuff, we don't have tons and tons of vintage stuff, but I know you said for you it's just a matter of whatever, right? So,
right.
Let's see.
So there are like literally tens and thousands of boxes here.
So this is basically the way it works. Like on all of our shelves, we've got all the products basically bought within boxes just to keep. I don't keep anything out and open. So this is, for example, this is a box full of Mitsuko, but this is, I don't know if you'll recognize this. This was probably
gold
like
boxes.
An early 2000s. It's not very old at all.
Would you consider this vintage?
No.
What would you call this?
Well, it's definitely, I would just, if someone asks me the state of this, I'd say it's an older product because it's changed a couple times after this, but it's not really that old at all.
Right.
Right.
But it's still better than, Guerlain kind of they hold pretty good, right?
I don't carry any of the current modern stuff that's come out in the last few years, but that's not because of, the quality is no good or whatever. It's just too much.
Mm.
There's only so much.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
But and then we have also the stock of before that.
Oh, the yellow boxes.
Yeah.
So this is what I would consider even better stuff. And
yeah, anything that goes back further, I guess, in theory, you should be able to say it's better quality. I don't know if you can just blanket that with every brand.
Yeah.
But I think you can safely do that with Guerlain.
These are all Mitsuko?
Yeah.
Probably one of the greatest perfumes ever created.
Those are the eau de perfumes that you had there, and then those are the eau de toilettes there.
Okay.
And then if you remember, then there's the older than this where it was just gold.
Yeah.
Right, without the yellow, but we don't have anything of that.
Gorgeous fragrance. I love this. It's one of my absolute favorites.
So then there's Shalimar, which for me, as a brand in terms of production and packaging, one of the most confusing and nauseating fragrances for the amount of times that they not only changed packaging but changed the sizes, along with, if you like, Chanel number 5 has always had those regular eau de toilette sprays and then the refillable units and then the refills, and then you'd have those in eau de toilette and eau de perfume and pure perfume.
Right.
And then when packaging changes in a whole line, sometimes they change the size too.
Yes.
In a perfume, from a 7.5 mil to a 10 mil, or from a 50 mil to a 60 mil, or some goofiness like that.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
So I mean, like, take a look. Just this box alone. Like, you've got so many different packages in here, right?
And there's so many iterations of Shalimar
Yeah.
too, right?
There's that. This is also blue, but it's different.
What is
That's
this?
a body cream in a jar.
So how can you tell what would be the oldest Guerlain
In
here?
this,
Was the gold?
the gold. Yeah,
Okay.
this and this. This and this here. Out of these would be the oldest.
And even this is older. I can tell by the seal and the logo.
Yeah. Sometimes for some of these, you don't even need to go by batch code. With some of the Guerlain products, they update the copyright on the bottom. So, see, this one, you can tell, is not that old because it's got the copyright 2000.
Okay.
Right? So this was probably produced in the mid to late 90s. But then, it produced just after 2000, meaning in the early 2000s. But they put the copyright as just before that. So it's not older than that for sure.
Right.
Right. But this is a very confusing specific Guerlain fragrance.
Is Guerlain one of the more confusing brands to
Yes.
deal with packaging?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
even today in modern times, they're constantly repackaging their perfumes. They will take an existing fragrance, they'll discontinue and then release it under a different name, under a different package.
Well,
They'll
yeah.
change bottles. It's just something that they continuously do. I think it's to drive their marketing department. Okay.
And then this is a fragrance that came out and it was a complete and utter disastrous flop. Samsara Shine. This was from the
flanker.
90s.
Yeah.
Right? It was a complete flop.
Do you find this is easy accessible for you? Like, does this show up quite often?
No, it's completely out of production.
Right, it is now, but is it easy for you to obtain this particular perfume?
No, it's completely gone. It's dried up. This is whatever I could get my hands on. I just bought it all.
Ooh, damn.
That's I think a talc or a shower gel. I think it's a shower gel. But this is an old bottle of Chamad.
Oh, damn.
This is an 80s one, which
even the packaging is funky, like
Yeah.
the pattern there.
I don't know if there's enough lighting in here.
I think the lighting's adequate. That's a gorgeous bottle.
This one, people can tell this one is really ancient because it's got the Quebec address on it.
Right. Yes. I heard about that. They
Yeah.
were manufactured in Canada for this market.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Can I see that for
Yeah,
me?
yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I just want to show this.
You can open it up. You can open it. Sure.
Canister.
Yeah.
And they've been doing these canisters forever,
Yeah.
haven't they?
Yep. All companies. Chanel done that.
Cool. All right. I'm just going to take my screen and give it a wipe. Is that better? I think there might have been a smudge on my screen. So there's just like rows and rows and rows of perfume here. How long have you been holding on to some of this stuff?
Some stuff very, very long. Some stuff is like,
I'm just going to kind of
yeah.
show.
And again, not everything is, uber super vintage. A lot is. Everything's just a mixture of both.
Right. So fascinating. Just like boxes everywhere. Okay. Oh, look at this. Here's a very hyped up perfume. There's like a crowd favorite. Bolivar say. Said to smell like cat pee. What do you think it is about those animalics that people love?
Well, people who just like that strong shit,
Are you into that at all? No? Much prefer freshies.
I know, like I just like I'm not really judgmental about anything. If it smells good, it smells good.
And who's to say what smells good?
Yeah, that's it. It's just your personal opinion.
Yeah.
Right. But I think a lot of people image has to do not for people who are like in your community, in the fragrance community, like they like what they like. But I think in terms, if you're talking about just the general population when it comes to the fragrance industry, sometimes if a name is attached to it, like if you give them a bottle of Burberry and put horse piss in it, I think 1 out of 5 people will be like, oh, that smells good.
Right.
Because it's Burberry. It just gets fixated in their head that this is some fancy schmancy brand.
There you go, Burberry. Burberry.
We have a lot of our Givenchy stuff and then some Dior stuff.
So fascinating. All right. Let's carry. Oh, Fahrenheit. This is a thing. Fahrenheit 32. This is a nice, a fresh Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah. Again, a horrible seller.
Really?
When it was launched.
Do you have any in there?
Nope, just aftershave bomb.
Aftershave. All right. Do you know where everything is in this place?
Yeah.
Like, so if I say, get me a bottle of Versace Eros, you know exactly where it is. Not that I'd ever ask you to get me a bottle of Versace Eros, but
everything, every shelf is lettered, and then the individual shelf is numbered.
Do you have any Dior Higher?
Higher, yeah, higher and higher energy.
I heard that, like, I just heard today actually from a guy that came on our stream once. Gabe Oppenheimer kind of revealed that Higher was Dior's answer to Armani's Acqua di Gio.
Really?
And it completely bombed.
It was not a good seller.
Right. It absolutely
had a little bit of hype
bombed.
and stuff, but
yeah,
it was not. Their second launch to the higher energy was even worse.
What do you have good in Dior? Like that collectors typically like. Do you have any poison, vintage poison?
Nothing in vintage. That's the problem. Nothing in vintage. In terms of vintage, this Diorella, I think there was a bottle sitting on the table over there that you saw.
Shite.
Yeah, and this is an old. That you can tell obviously by the packaging.
Yeah.
And then the size too is a giveaway because everything became more universal in modern times. Right? It's 112 mil or a 3.7 ounce.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see shit like that anymore.
No.
Everything's either 100 mil or 150 or 120, like, rounded up.
That's all vintage, right?
Yeah, the Diorella is all vintage. It's all the same. They're all 112 mil.
Gold mine here.
Yeah.
I'm sure, there's a lot of eyes out there. I'm sure people are going to, they see everything, right? Nothing gets past these people.
Yeah, these are just bits and pieces, odds and ends. Like I told you about the buy, which is stuff that we just don't have any juice left in stock. So we don't keep any body products lying at. That's the original Gucci foam from 1976. That's a shave foam. Or not, it's a deodorant spray, rather.
Yeah, it says shave foam.
Oh, is it shave foam? Yeah, there you go.
I think I saw. Yeah, this is what I saw. This caught my eye. I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's the buy for women.
Right. I remember having the buy for men. Okay, cool. You have vintage Dune for men?
Yeah, I don't know how vintage. Yeah, but I'll show you.
Well, it says Christian Dior on it, so it's got to be quite old. Wow.
That's the aftershave velvet version. Get you straight in. No. See?
What's that?
It's
Yeah, that's the modern stuff.
See.
Well, this is discontinued, right? Completely? Okay. Let's carry on.
A lot of old stuff that's not even around anymore.
You mind if I dig in?
Go ahead, go for it.
I've never heard of this.
This is a really obscure brand called Obusan. Nothing special.
Oh, Salvador Dali. Is that deodorant or?
I think it's either a shave foam or deodorant spray.
All right. Do you have any vintage Salvador?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sorry, I can't see the. Here's vintage Dolly. I think this is a vintage. Oh, that's the aftershave.
Yeah. This right here. There we go. That's a 50 ml EDT splash.
Vintage.
Oh yeah.
These are getting harder to come by too, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. There's the lips, the Mick Jagger lips. Nice. These are all vintages.
Yeah.
Damn.
They have the new style in the 100 ml spray too, but keep it all separate.
All right. That's a lovely. That's Thierry Vassar's very first fragrance, I believe. Thierry Vassar's now the head perfumer of Guerlain.
Yeah, that I learned from your stream.
Yeah.
One of your streams. Hearing about you guys complaining about some of the new perfumers at some of these big brands.
Don't take our streams too serious. We just like to bitch and complain.
That's okay.
And we just want to be heard like everybody else, right? We're almost like politicians.
Of course.
Right.
What else can I show you? Actually, this is a fragrance. I sell a lot of this. Go figure, to the Australian market. This is an old fragrance, ladies' fragrance called Ming the Dynasty. Kind of funky.
Oh. Never heard of this either.
Just
What is it with the Australian market that
I don't know.
has captured that?
I have absolutely no idea. Just one of those random things. What else can I show you? Okay, I can show you some funky men's stuff.
I see some cool water here. Cool water's been quite popular in recent months for some reason or other.
I don't know why. What was I going to show you here? Oh yeah, this fragrance is pretty popular. This is one that if someone is looking for vintage to start out with, is something that you could track down. Is Un Homme de Charles Jourdain. This is a really nice fragrance.
Yeah. Okay. I've not smelled it myself, but it's got that chypre accord, moss, lemon, patchouli, labdanum. Oh, look at that packaging. Even the packaging was nicer way back then.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at that. Yeah, this is like your classic chypre structure, right?
Well, by the packaging, it looks nice, but a lot of these some of these 80s fragrances used plastic even for the sprayers, which are not the greatest.
Yeah. That's a lovely perfume. Woodsy, mossy, earthy, lemony freshness, like contrasted with that earthy wood spices. Really pretty. I mean, it's lovely. It's not pretty. It's lovely. Nice. I like that. I like that a lot.
I'll show you some. These are some older Ricci brands. Senior 1 and number 2. And they had this brief fragrance called just Senior Ricci. These were not big sellers at all, by any stretch of the imagination.
That looks like a Cartier packaging.
Kind of, yeah. It's similar to Pasha, right?
Yeah. Just like tons and tons and tons of stuff here.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen so much perfume in one place. Okay, this is Cartier right here.
Yeah.
What do you have in Cartier? You have vintage anything, Cartier?
Some, not a lot. We've got in Pasha. We've got one item in a vintage, which is this. Where is it? All it is it's the refill in the 50 ml for. They had a fancy the silver bullet casing or whatever you want to call it, the case. If you've ever seen it,
I can't remember.
Well, when we go upstairs and we show the Factices, I have a Factice of it. I'll show it to you. And this is just the refill spray for it, but it is a vintage. But that's unfortunate.
Do you have anything in women's vintage?
Yeah.
You know, I've always preferred women's fragrance to men's, eh?
In general, or
yeah, even modern, vintage, whatever it is. I think it's probably the use of florals, and they use florals in men's fragrances too.
But I think a lot of it is just that if fragrances were just launched as a woman's fragrance or a men's, but if you just did the blind, Pepsi Coke kind of thing,
right. People wouldn't have a clue.
Wouldn't know. People wouldn't. If you showed them something like a vintage Paloma Picasso and told them this is an old men's fragrance, they'll say, "Oh yeah, it's an old men's fragrance."
That competes with something like Polo, original Polo, right?
Yeah.
It's just as woody and spicy and.
See, this is the original vintage Must de Cartier for women.
Damn, that's a gorgeous fragrance.
Yeah.
That's galbanum and vanilla. Oof! Look at that! Wow.
It's kind of cool when older fragrances used to have the little information pamphlet to go with it. Kind of cool.
That's incredible. That packaging is amazing. You don't see stuff like this. This is all the vintage?
Yeah, but most of it's just all body products left now.
Damn.
Lotion and so on and so forth. And if you recall, when they launched that, they had two versions. They had the one in the red packaging. At the same time, they had it was like a dual launch where they had the one in the black packaging, which we don't have anything left in that other than body products, but that's the red.
Okay, black. So what is it different concentrations?
I've never even actually smelt the I used to think that this was supposed to be a pure perfume version of that,
right?
But it was labeled as an EDT. Like this is just a body lotion.
Right.
But when there was eau de toilette, it was labeled as an EDT. But to me, it was just a stronger concentration of that. But I
Cartier confusing the fans.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing really older stuff. These are again just like I had to buy stuff in a giant lot, so you had to take some garbage Dunhill fragrances in order to get access to some other goodies.
You got some Gucci here?
Yeah.
Is this all Gucci?
Yeah, this is just a excess bulk stock in Gucci Envy Me and Gucci Rush.
Okay. What do you have in Hermes? Do you have any vintage Hermes?
Yeah. Let's see. The one that was recently the most popular, the Bellamy. Not even a soap left in stock.
Really?
Like soap, aftershave, everything gone.
What about? Did you have shaker bottles?
Yeah.
What were those going for when you?
All we had left was just aftershave and stuff, though. So the EDTs and those were gone even years before. In terms of, we've got Equipage, a little bit left by Hermes, not a lot left in stock. Mainly again aftershave again because nobody uses that stuff anymore. This is the older.
Oh wow!
The cap is kind of cool.
Yeah, just like classic masculine packaging as well. Something like Chanel's Pour Monsieur or right.
I can show you in terms of older stuff. It's not very old, but old classic Hermes for Men, which then they rebranded as the
Eau de Orange.
Yeah, but when it before they branded as that, it was just Hermes Eau de Cologne.
That's right.
Then they changed the name. That's the original of it.
And this is a really beautiful citrus perfume.
Yeah.
Bitter orange. It's kind of like the Hermes style, right? That's their signature bitter citruses. And it's interesting how they've incorporated the color along with oranges in a lot of their fragrances, right? It's their trademark.
I think that was their whole idea of the marketing to change the name because it just instantly, as soon as you say the name and then you see
it's the association.
Orange, the green and the orange just seeps into your head.
Yeah.
It's kind of brilliant, actually, if you think about it.
Simple but genius.
Yep. side is a bunch of odds and ends.
Okay.
Maybe I'll take you to that other little room where I have the miniatures and the
Yeah,
other
sure. Take us wherever, whatever you can show. Eurocos. What's
Oh,
Euro?
this is a Euro Cosmetics, just a manufacturer. This is a fragrance called Byblos in Black. It's nothing really to write home about.
Are there some manufacturers that you don't like to deal with?
Like manufacturers, you mean?
Or suppliers, or
we had one local supplier. I'm not going to name names, but they're still around. They're one of the last actual locally owned distributors where they distribute some pretty well known brands. But I don't do business with them anymore because I don't get it. Service, let's just say, is not up to snuff. Is it not working?
Yeah, it looks pretty.
You may hold that.
Yeah, hang on to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this wall is basically we have all our miniatures. Pretty much most of the miniatures that we have are all like vintage, older shit. Like this is A Bend by Balmain.
All right.
Right, long.
Another
long kaput.
I think this is
some of these people like to call them unicorns or whatever.
Yeah, this is considered another woman's fragrance that could be, is probably more masculine if it was released today.
Well, actually, the A Band was released as a men's fragrance.
This
this is a men's fragrance.
Okay, I always thought it was a woman's perfume.
Yeah. And again, Salvador Dali, the Kenzo. That's the old vintage packaging. I always loved the concept of this fragrance, the bottle, the katana sword.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
a nice fresh fragrance. Is there a market for minis?
Yeah, on two levels. One, sometimes for vintage stuff that were a larger 100 ml bottle is beyond the budget of someone.
Yeah.
You can still get a vintage of something. Like, for example, we don't have any vintage bottles of Fahrenheit by Dior, but I do have Fahrenheit minis that are vintage. So if someone, you can't get 100 ml or the 100 ml is too expensive, you can always just get a mini.
Oh.
And then the other thing is those people just collect them as well.
Look at that. What size are these?
10 mil.
It's like a baby Fahrenheit. Damn. Look at this. Bye-bye. Dunhill.
That's a vintage Dunhill edition.
Okay. And do these pop up quite often for you, or
No, not anymore.
no?
No, a lot of companies don't make, and if they do, they just make them as just seasonal things or whatever. Where these were like pretty much every brand, every manufacturer would have these.
And you were saying earlier when brands did marketing for perfumes, it would be generally only as they were being released in the first couple of years of release, and then after that they would stop with marketing.
Yeah, because then they would focus on when the next one's going to come out.
Yeah, okay.
and then it just has snowballed, where it's just gotten more and more.
Okay.
But there was a lot more focused marketing, like when classic fragrances like Shalimar or Le Vuitton by Nina Ricci, or even Oscar de la Renta came out, Halston Ladies Classic. Those were brands that were able to market those for years, right?
Yeah.
And they were powerhouses and pillars for years, where they were marketing them, and then they'd launch a new brand, and there would be so much hype because they didn't launch one for, the launch for a new brand in those days was maybe years apart, 10 years
Yeah,
apart.
decade.
Decades in those days. And then over the years, the 10 years has turned into 8 years, 6, 5, 4. Now it's just like a weekly thing.
Why do you think that is?
It's just get out as much as you can. Volume. Everything is volume, volume, volume. Flankers just double down on that concept.
Do you think it's a pressure from society to get more stuff out?
I think it's both ways. It's the nonstop. It's like a round ball.
Consumerism.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, the people sitting in boardrooms are like, we need more sales, we need more volume. But then they could also justify and say, because the younger consumer today, they have the attention span of 3 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
of a fish, goldfish.
Yeah. You know, I bought this new limited edition Escada today. Ho hum, it's done. I want the new one tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
You saw the Dior Homme is one that you could talk about with its flankers and its
yeah. A lot of the modern stuff today has just got like, you know, after 5 years, it's probably got like 10 or 15 flankers.
Oh yeah.
You know, Guerlain is known for it. You see it with YSL.
Every brand. Jean-Paul Gaultier, Lamal, and Issey Miyake, they
disgusting.
were pioneers with their summer fragrances that they used to do, which were pretty cool in the beginning. Which were pretty cool in the beginning when they first started it.
Yeah.
Because it was a thing.
Yeah.
But then, you know, when you do it for like the 19th time,
it seems like they do it for collectible.
It is collectible.
Yeah.
I can't prove it, and it probably sounds ignorant for me to say, but what's to say that they're not recycling juice?
Yeah, I imagine it's all the same perfume inside. That would only
not every year, but if somebody launched if Escada Women's, if they had a limited edition from like 2003, who's to say they didn't just take that juice and put it in the version that's coming out in 2023?
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't put it past.
You never know. You never know.
Okay. Here we keep more collection of like unboxed and testers and stuff. Of some more like older stuff. So you were looking at earlier the Givenchy. So there was that. Just as an example.
Okay. Yeah, Givenchy tester bottles.
Yeah.
Right. Would you consider this vintage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Vintage enough.
Right.
Vintage-y.
That's from the 80s?
Yeah, I think this is from the 90s. This is
90s?
From the, yeah.
Okay. I see something over here. What's this here? Fendi.
That's an aftershave in the classic Fendi Womo.
Okay.
So
And
what was I?
this is all minis and testers.
Yeah. Yeah. These are some really old like.
I see vintage Samsara.
Yeah, that's an eau de perfume, I think.
Yeah. More vintage Guerlain.
Yeah.
Ooh, damn.
Those you can spray those if you want, because those are.
I actually picked
used.
one of these up from you.
Yeah, those are you can spray in front because those are used.
Okay. I also picked one of these up from you last time. Rumba. And I was saying, you know, we were having this conversation.
Right, about the Lapidus, right?
Yeah. The one I picked up is a Balenciaga release, but I've also seen online it's the exact same perfume, the same packaging, but one's released by Lapidus, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, like I said, I've never heard of that, so that's got to be something that really, really, really old.
What's this?
VS Versus.
Is this a perfume in here?
It's an aftershave, but it's damaged because of the packaging on that is really foul. Yeah, they use like a cheap metal for the cap.
Right.
That disintegrated.
What happened to Balenciaga as a brand? Like they've disappeared for a long time, haven't they? And then
the brand got bought by Coty, where fragrances go to die.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, good way of saying yes.
Right? And then they tried to
Death by Coty.
They launched a couple fragrances, but they tried to make them high end, but no one was buying what they were selling. So,
okay,
to put it mildly.
Maybe the eagle eyes will pick something. Oh, oof!
Just shower gel and aftershave.
I saw the colors. Yeah. I saw the colors. Look at this.
That's a shower gel.
I saw the colors out of the corner of my eye.
And that's
Look at this.
That's all we have left, unfortunately.
Damn, this is what you would consider a unicorn?
Yeah.
What's this?
That's why by Yves Saint Laurent ladies. Oh, fragrance.
Blue sugar. Aqua. Look at this packaging.
Yeah. That's called Moon, which was by
Is this like
7-Eleven?
I almost think like this would smell like oud. Oh damn. I've always wanted to smell this.
That's the ladies' old.
Can I spray this?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna put it right in my hand. That is intense.
Yes. It's a powerful beast.
Wow. Look at how heavy this is. What's this?
Tommy Bahama.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I saw the trees. Oof. I didn't even know they made them in this 200 ml size.
Oh, yeah.
Is this vintage?
Yes.
You have people that would kill for some of this stuff. Byzance. I've not smelled that either.
I saved this bottle just for shits and giggles. It's like an error in the production. It's upside down.
Oh no
but
way.
The rest of the band is fine. See,
Right.
but just the
That's
logo,
crazy.
and it's not separate. It's
this is probably a collector's item.
yeah. I just thought it was very interesting because at first I thought maybe this was a sticker that was put on wrong, but it's one piece. The band,
Right.
and it's just I don't know how the hell they
That's
managed to
so
do
interesting.
that, where it's upside down.
Damn. Almost got asked if it was made in China or something. Oh, Sandré Jacquemot. Tsar. All these classics. Oh, another classic Bedford. I've never smelled this either.
I think you should be able to smell that from this was.
Here's a vintage Poison. Isn't this vintage?
Yeah.
Tester. It's not a tester.
Very green.
It's intense, that vert. Odaguchi. This is vintage Rokabar, right?
Well, the vintage packaging actually looks like this. That's just the aftershave, and then this was its second version launch or whatever.
This comes with the Hermes blanket inside, doesn't it?
I don't know if the aftershave does. The EDT definitely did. No, the aftershave doesn't. But the eau de toilette sprays had that blanket around it.
Yeah. I see another unicorn here.
Yeah, but that's just an shower gel. Rive Gauche.
Do you find people are interested in this stuff ever? Shower gels and
very, very few. There are some that enjoy doing the layering concept, but for the most part, no. People don't have time for that stuff anymore.
Okay. So you want to take us to another place. We're going to go on another floor here.
Take you upstairs.
Another fascinating area.
I'll show you the more junk.
One man's, what was the saying?
What is it? One man's garbage, another man's treasure?
Treasure, yeah. I feel like I'm in Treasure Island here. Fuck candy. This is like...
Well, take a look at all the Factices and take a look.
Eau de Cologne Imperial. Shit.
It's a nice bottle.
And this was Opium.
That's a Factice of the Eau de Toilette Splash.
Vintage?
Vintage Splash, what it used to look like. Yeah. It's just an empty box.
Shit. Monsieur Rochas. Oh, fuck. Safari?
Yeah.
Wow. And it's just like just as much stuff up here as
Yeah, a lot of the stuff here is more merchandise collateral and stuff like display cases or like little G-P samples and stuff like that.
So was all this stuff kind of given out for free back
some of it, yes, and some of it when whatchamacallit, I talked about it before, when a license would change and if a smaller distributor was losing the license or if it was going to a bigger house or whatever, they just sell off whatever stock they had left. Or if they had to transfer all their stock, a lot of times things like blotters, samples, posters, GWPs, testers, those things they could do whatever they wanted to, and so they just sell them off. In those days, those type of things were available. I'll show you all the Factices we have, large and small.
Are your Factices for sale?
For the most part, no. Unless I have more than one of each, and that too, I will not ship Factices, because unless they're plastic.
Yeah.
Because glass Factices, like you can't. It's just not worth it. That's really cool. The Eau Sauvage Extreme.
I love this bottle.
Yeah,
The ribbed bottle.
Yeah. Well, that's quality, right? Like that's when some effort was put in.
Yeah.
Like that's like if you think about, I don't have to tell you now because you're making your own brand, but one of the most significant costs is the mold of making a bottle.
Absolutely.
You know how expensive the mold would be for this just because of the rib in it, right?
You're right. It's more detail.
That's a fucking expensive mold.
That's right.
Right? Not like some generic square round
shit. Yeah. The more detail, the more work there is. It's more intricacy. Absolutely. And I'm a mold maker myself. I'm a tool and die maker. We make molds and stuff like this. So I know.
Do you mind if I ask you, how was that process then for you, considering that's what you do, and then now you're making your own fragrance?
But I'm in the automotive sector, so it's very different. The day comes for me to make my own mold, I will go to professional glass mold makers instead of do it myself, where I'm not. I don't know every single detail to it, but I do know how to make molds and dies and tooling and all that kind of metal stamping or blow molding or any of that type. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you the collection.
Is this Calvin Klein Obsession here?
Yeah, though that's an example of like promotional GWP and stuff like that. There's little shit like that.
More, and I don't think you can find anything like this anywhere else in the world. Not anymore. A collection of Factices and minis and testers.
I doubt it. See, that's an example of a plastic Factice Ivoire de Balmain.
Wow.
But it's completely plastic.
Do people bother you for this sort of stuff?
They do, yes and no, but it quickly goes away when the ones who seriously ask for it, if they hear a price, and that puts the conversation quickly to bed.
Yeah, right.
This was, I was talking about that Pasha.
Yeah.
This is a Factice, but that's what that fancy unit used to look like.
Yes.
And of course, I don't think this can be removed, but then you'd have the cartridge spray inside. So whatever they call it, the silver bullet or whatever.
Yeah, right. Gotcha. That's a beautiful package too.
That's amazing. That. You got a whole bunch of...
More opium.
That's a Giacomo.
Okay. As I see, is that Shalimar?
Yeah. We've got a classic polo. Factice, the classic green polo.
Great scent.
Yeah.
Great classic scent. That was one of my first perfumes that I've had. Polo, Hugo Boss #1, Calvin Klein Obsession, Eternity. Let's see what else you have here.
This is
there's the
Obsession ladies in that splash bottle style. Oscar Paul Louis.
Nice. Beautiful colors too.
Yeah.
Very deep, rich colors.
This is a Kuros Eau de Sport Factice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rich Mitch's hand is probably just going to come out of nowhere.
Right. Here he comes. You can hear him quacking. Yeah. Eternity. Great.
Well, this was I was giving you a hypothetical example about a lot or deal that we bought back in the day. This is the Romeo Gili.
Yeah.
This is the Factice for that.
And that's just filled with water?
Yeah, water and acetic acid and dye. That's what it looked like before it broke.
Damn, Varney had a fragrance?
Yep.
I remember having Varney sunglasses
right.
as a teenager. And what else did they make?
When they launched this, they were giving out free sunglasses as a G with P, but it wasn't their actual Varney glasses. They were like, they did a cheaper shit run production.
Yeah.
That probably was made in Taiwan or some shit. And then they just put a Varney sticker on it.
Yeah. I didn't know they made a fragrance.
Yeah, it didn't, again, it was a
Are they still
pretty
around?
big flop.
They're not in production anymore.
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. If they are, I have no idea. And they used to make Factices of all different sizes. You see, this is
Oh, Shalimar.
Shalimar Factice, Champs-Élysées.
You got a ton of good stuff here.
Yep. Even boxes for like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I show it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. I got to ask and make sure, but look at this. That's heavy.
Yeah, that's a pure thick glass.
Pure glass, where a lot of them are plastic, but this is the quality.
Yeah.
Even the cut of this. Oh, I want to take that home.
And then you have a Factice like this. This is an old vintage Jardin de Bagatelle Factice, but they actually made a box for the Factice.
Right. You don't see stuff like this with modern perfume, do you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
There's the lips. Kiss me, you fool.
This is one of my favorite Factices.
Wow.
The L'Odyssée for Men.
That's massive, yo.
Yeah, and it's glass, so it's pretty cool. And they've made it exactly as how the bottle is.
I think that was a pretty great fragrance when they came out, and then slowly they've destroyed it, haven't they?
Well, yeah. Let me show you a whole bunch more on this side. Like in years gone by, they would even make Factice boxes and Factices of the body products. This is the 1000 by Jean Patou. Look at that. This is a Factice fucking foaming gel.
Damn. Unheard of.
And all of it was for the purposes of display.
Unheard of. Kalesh. Oh, beautiful. This is gorgeous.
A small Habit Rouge.
You'd be almost convinced that this is real packaging.
Yeah.
Oops. Bye-bye. Just want to straighten that out before we move on.
This is a vintage Santos Cartier Factice with the shitty leather pouch.
Great fragrance too.
Yeah. This is a beautiful bottle, the Panthère by Cartier.
Yeah, it is.
It's perfume full unit.
I miss this perfume in this like vintage.
Or the Obsession for Men.
This was, I had this as a young teenager and I was like, I had a lot of good times and memories with this. Like when you got hot and steamy, like with a girl, man, this stuff, you grew like fucking fangs and teeth and this stuff came alive. So there's like really 3 people. It was like a threesome.
Yeah.
You, her, and Obsession, right? Pinot.
You'd be surprised how much people still buy that. Old Italian men that buy
Pinot?
Pinot still. Oh yeah, man.
Man, Pinot's a horrible fragrance.
It is a
eh?
horrible fragrance, but that age bracket of men are pretty loyal to the stuff.
And
they
I get
like.
it. People don't like change, do they?
Yeah.
Well, not all people, but
Femme.
ooh, gorgeous
Michelle.
perfume.
The cap's all fucked up, but
Gorgeous, gorgeous. I love that. More Kuros.
this is a beautiful Factice. And it's solid glass.
Damn. Beautiful. I swear you'd never think that these are Factices the
Yep.
way they're built.
This is,
I'd be fooled.
Samsara. This is a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
The Poison Esprit de Perfume. That's, this one's plastic, but it's the old original Calvin for men.
Alan. Man, oh man.
A beast as well.
Yeah? Good. I've never smelled it. Good.
It was.
I remember having this as a young boy.
Yeah.
I think this was one of my first perfumes. And I don't know, probably like 10 years old when somebody had bought me this. Like I was that young.
A big honey fragrance.
It's a massive
Yeah.
fragrance, not something you'd give to a 10-year-old today,
No.
right? Maybe that's why my taste is all messed up. Great collection, I gotta say. I'm like totally impressed and blown away here.
Actually, before I was showing you those cloths, I want to show you some of these. This is really cool. Check this banner out. Fully open it up.
Wow, was that a flag?
Yeah, it's
That
like a banner.
They'd fly outside the department store?
Enchante by Givenchy.
Shoot. That's got to be really old.
This is right from day one, from when it launched.
Yeah, right.
Because that's when they would, like downstairs we were talking about, fragrance like this would come out, and they would aggressively market it with stuff like this to go with
It's
it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And like, what are your plans with this kind of stuff? Like, how long are you gonna hold on to it?
Some of the stuff we do sell as as the years go by.
Are these Factices?
No, those are aftershave, vintage aftershaves of Fahrenheit.
I saw something interesting over here, and I want to go back because this looks really impressive.
Oh, you're looking at the Jean Patou stuff? Yeah.
Yes. So we have. Is that this is vintage Joy?
Yep.
Eau de toilette. And there's a lot of them in here.
There should be an eau de perfume in there somewhere.
Here's the eau de parfum. What else is back here? What would this be?
That's the
1,000?
1000.
Do you have any Pateau put home?
Nope.
I see Bulgari Black, the rubber puck.
Yeah.
That's a Factice, I guess, eh?
No, that's
That's
the
real?
yeah. That was an odd fragrance. They marketed it as a unisex fragrance, which just call it a fragrance.
Is this a Zaro?
No, that's Missoni Momo.
Fascinating. Factice?
No, that's a body lotion of Rive Gauche.
Okay. Oh, Borsalino. How do these sell?
Borsalino sells fairly well, actually.
Do you find young people wear any?
No.
No, they don't care for it, eh?
If they don't, young people, if it's not a known brand,
if it's not Versace,
they
or
won't give it a chance. Even
right,
you can't convince. I'm generalizing. I'm being ignorant and blanket statement, but for the most part, in my opinion, a young person, you couldn't force them to give an unknown name a chance.
Right.
Whereas someone that loves fragrance will smell anything.
So they're sold marketing.
Yeah, pretty much.
They buy into the marketing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for a young person, if you tag anything with a Lacoste or a Versace on it, they're gonna eat that shit up.
What do you think is like the biggest brands for young people today? Is it
Versace
Dior?
Still there? Dior, Versace.
What about Chanel?
I don't think so. Some young people, they try to, especially when Bleu de Chanel came out.
Yeah.
You could say that maybe that was a little bit more appropriate for a younger person.
Yeah.
But I still don't think overall Chanel is.
I'll tell you this: before I got serious into fragrance, I had no idea what a Chanel perfume was for men. Like I heard of Number 5,
But you knew of it. You knew like what.
I knew Chanel, but I didn't know of Velour and Pour Monsieur and Antaeus and Egoiste, and I had no idea these things existed. Right? I knew more of the perfumes. I knew Calvin Klein's. Right? I knew Ralph Lauren's. I knew the Polos and stuff like that. So things that were heavily advertised and marketed, right? Acqua di Gio. I knew the Armani's.
Right.
I remember those. I don't remember. I don't know if Chanel.
No, there's no way you could not have known at least Chanel Number 5.
I knew Number 5. Name, right? Yeah, everybody knows 5.
Yeah.
Chanel 5. Yeah. I didn't even know Guerlain was a thing. I had no idea of Guerlain's existence.
Yeah.
Before I became a serious enthusiast, right? It took a while not a while, but
when did you really?
Just going through the drugstore and smelling as many things as I could. And when I got to Shalimar, I was like, good Lord in heaven, what is this? You know?
You got slapped with that leather.
Yeah, yeah. Leather, vanilla, bergamot. It's just like, it smelled like classic, old school, authentic, really well made, aristocratic, something that I thought I couldn't pull off at the time. Maybe I was like way too young for it. It was for somebody of a high status with prestige positions in society, right? That's
what its intent was, right? To be.
Yeah. But then, now I'm very comfortable in Shalimar. I love it, but first perceptions they're interesting,
of course,
because they change very quickly.
Yeah.
I hated Antaeus the first time I would go into the mall and I'd run to the Chanel counter just to smell Antaeus, to laugh at how horrible. I was obsessed with making fun of Antaeus. I thought it was the worst thing ever, but now it's like one of my favorite perfumes.
Its days are numbered.
What do you mean?
Usually there's a pattern that you see with a fragrance, especially with Chanel, when they start eliminating SKUs. If they start just on the Canadian market, but they don't do a deodorant stick anymore. They don't do the shower gel anymore. They don't do the aftershave balm anymore. They just literally last year discontinued the aftershave, like the liquid aftershave.
Right.
So all that's left now. So I know the deodorant stick I think it's just the deodorant stick and the 100 ml eau de toilette spray, and that's worldwide now, if I'm not mistaken.
No way. So does that mean that eau de toilette is next?
That's just what I think, but it's going to be a long time. I
don't think they have ever discontinued a fragrance, have they?
Egoiste.
Well, yeah, Egoiste. Yeah, Bois Noir. They have actually.
Right. Number
things
22,
that have bombed.
Number 22.
Well, it's still less exclusive.
Yeah, but it's different though. I mean, and it's original. The way it was just as a normal fragrance.
Right. Okay. Maybe I'm being ignorant.
No. But I mean, okay, so I consider their Les Exclusive. I consider them to be a different category.
Yes.
Like it did not just but a different category because they're calling them something else.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas number 22 was just a regular.
Yeah.
It was, number 5, it was there. It wasn't a limited edition. It was an actual regular fragrance.
Yes.
So now if they have it as an exclusive, to me, it's a different category.
So there's a number of
Clear
Villas
Lucy like that.
exclusives that were discontinued before and brought out in this range. Yeah, I get it. All right.
Although a lot of their stuff is, I wouldn't say bombed, but a lot of their stuff, because they've launched too many fragrances.
Chanel?
Yeah, compared to what their tradition has been, to be very high-end and exclusive, I think for Chanel, I think they launched too many fragrances.
Okay. But still less than the majority of their competitors today.
Not even close, but within their own bubble,
like
just comparing them to themselves, I think they're doing too many.
This is just a sign of the times, though, I think. Like, to stay competitive, you need to consistently keep releasing things out and keep the public interested.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to be kind of in the spotlight. Like, look at what YSL's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Look what Guerlain's doing as far as flankers, right?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Any name brand house is doing that crap.
What else do you have here as far as what else can you show us?
I'll show you something really interesting. Let's go back downstairs.
Okay, I like interesting.
This is something completely different. I think you and your viewers will appreciate. So my family tradition is we're like hoarders. We don't throw anything out, whether it's at home, and we carry on that legacy here at work. So I keep a box of what I try to call old product knowledge. So like when fragrances were launched, you'd get like product information, right?
Okay.
That would catalog everything within the line. So this is an really old Givenchy manual as such, for example. Should we take it in there so they're not?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So give you a little history.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Yeah, you don't see this stuff.
Yeah, and so just to arm the people who are carrying the products to know about a history about the company of the brands that you're selling, and they'll show pictures of vintage posters. Yeah. And then what they do is they go through in detail with each brand, like the L'Entrée, when it was launched, the inspiration behind it. They show the range of what was in it at the time. Stuff like that, and then just like little news clippings.
Awesome.
And stuff.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
Lots of stuff like that. This one was for Panther when it was launched by Cartier, with all the information, product knowledge, the launch information. And here, this is funny.
Do they have pricing on there?
Some of the stuff, I don't think this one did. But this one had, Panther de Cartier launch requirements. Training. Prior to the launch, a product training school will be conducted, and all sales associates, store/department managers, and visual display personnel are requested to attend. Invitations will be mailed to notify time and place.
Do you think staff were trained better back then than they are today?
Yes, because they had less information to deal with. You were able to focus on one brand, and it's easier to absorb it in.
There was less pieces to know, and today it's just like
for this alone, this was a launch for Panther de Cartier. If they had to do something today, they would have to do an information session which would contain 15 fragrances at the same time. You can't expect people to. That's just PPE. I'm not sure if some of them have pricing. Let's see. This is a really old YSL fragrance guide where it was on a typewriter in a duotang. Look,
wow.
Look, that's how old it is. Actually,
what's this fragrance?
This is Y, the ladies' Y classic. There's Rive Gauche.
1971.
Yeah.
So what did they say about Rive Gauche? So you've got young, joyful, insolent, insolent. A fragrance for the unpredictable, an explosion. Floral, aldehyde, woody, woodsy. Wow.
Let's check
Nice
out everyone's
descriptors,
favorite here. Well, no, let's do opium first. There's what they've written about opium.
Mysterious, sensuous, captivating fascination of the Orient. First fragrance to bear a provocative name, a revolution. Well, I think YSL liked to do that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
To provocate.
I hear so much about this note in this fragrance, the myrrh. I still have no idea to this day what the hell that is.
It's very smoky.
I don't know what that is. And then, it's falling apart now, but I guess I just want to show everybody's favorite.
Oh.
Kuros, and everyone's favorite year in fragrance, 1981, apparently.
Captivating, original, vibrant. There's nothing about dirty animalics or pissy urinals, is there, right? An explosion. Okay, so they do call it animal.
Yep.
An explosion, chypre, animal. Aromatic, cloves, coriander, vetiver, patchouli, oak moss, jasmine, castoreum, vanilla, incense, gray amber. I wonder if they mean like amber.
And they nicknamed it the Conqueror.
Okay, we'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
So sportsman, masculine, fresh, original, strong, vibrant, dynamic, unforgettable, invigorating. Damn, this is a collectible, isn't it?
Yeah.
This vintage piece, right?
Yeah. My favorite is this last part where they're trying to advertise the roll-on deodorant for it. They used to do a roll-on deodorant. You know where you get the deodorant with that, like with the roller ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. They did a roller ball deodorant in Kuros.
I remember those.
Which is pretty crazy.
Everybody's favorite, Le Male.
Yeah, that's a fact. These are all Factices.
I remember when Le Male came out.
It was a big deal.
It was massive.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. When you came into the department stores, I think they were spraying that through the vents. Like the moment you opened the door to the department store, you were like,
and it was distinctive, so it's not something that you didn't know what it was.
It was an avalanche of mint, vanilla, lavender. Wonderful. 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 Let's come back over here.
All right. Ooh, that's different.
Okay, let's have a seat and just kind of. I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me? I'm not sure how that came through. I'm not sure what the Wi-Fi is like or the reception. You mentioned there was a couple of dead spots upstairs, so hopefully it worked out. I had no idea what happened, but are there any questions for Anuj? And I will. I guess we'll be on for just a little bit longer, and I'll drop the link quickly. Do you have time?
Yeah,
what's your schedule like?
I have no schedule.
Okay, if somebody wants to come in, all right. So we came by fine. Thanks, Caboose. If somebody wants to come on really quickly and ask, like, we don't want to negotiate any prices.
No. Yeah, I'm not.
That's none of my business. If you want to buy something, and then this is not sponsored in any way whatsoever. I'm here for the love of perfume and for Anuj to kind of show his stuff. If somebody wants to come on and maybe ask Anuj some questions before we go, we'll make some time for that. Did I drop the link?
Water here.
Good. So I'm glad that you guys enjoy that. I don't know what else I can ask you really. Any Yaquitos? No, he does not have. He has the Yaquitos shampoo. Rich Mitch keeps harassing me to get.
Remind me before you leave. I have in my person. There's hardly any left in it. It's like a defective bottle. It's my own, but I'm gonna spray it for you before you leave, so you get an idea.
Mm. Okay. Do you have Eau de Hermes?
Nope. There's no point in getting anyone's hopes up if I know something I'm pretty blunt. If I know something that I can't even remotely get, I'll just overemphasize no, less than zero chance, or
If there was any vintage, give us 2 or 3 pieces. If there was any vintage out there that you wish you could get, what would they be?
Oh, there's a few right off the bat. Okay, Good Life for Men by Davidoff.
Why?
Because sell like nobody's business.
Really?
Yeah. And again, it's one of those that when it launched, it was not a good seller at all.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
Well, yeah, it's
okay.
But
like I wouldn't even think anything by Davidoff.
Well, part of it, another thing that I forgot to mention is what happens in some of these cases. Magnetism was the same. They only ever had one production run, meaning no different versions. Magnetism by Escada didn't have different versions. There was no vintage and then reformulation.
It's interesting because when what was
Good
the
Life
other
was like that.
the Davidoff Cool Water, when that came out, that was supposed to be a 5,000 bottle release, and that was the end of it. Done and done. 5,000 and done. That was kind of
that's a lot of horse shit.
Well, I guess there were some changes once it sold out like hotcakes, right?
I think that was just a big myth and a big story.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a tale.
You think that was fabricated after?
Of course. Absolutely.
To push bottles.
Oh yeah. It was mass produced right from day one.
Okay. I'm just telling you what I've heard.
Cool Water was a mass produced fragrance.
Okay.
It got even more mass produced as the eras went on and licensees changed and so on and so forth. But it's always been
Okay, so after Good Life, what else?
Good Life for Men by Dolce.
A floral fragrance.
The classic Escada Pour Homme. Casual Friday by Escada. Kuros in its original vintage version.
Yeah, you're calling out all these fragrances that aren't really, they don't come up in vintage converse. I mean, yes, I've heard of them, but usually it's talk of old Guerlain, old Diorella, Fahrenheit, Kuros. What else comes to mind?
Well, I only say these because I'm talking as a businessman.
Right.
Right? Not if you ask someone who is just a pure perfume lover, they're probably going to give you different answers.
What's the difference coming at it as a businessman or an enthusiast? Is there more markup on something like Good Life?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you gave me the magic wand and said, like you just said, just pick anything that you could have show up in your warehouse that's vintage. But if you're asking me what I'm gonna pick. I don't care what it smells like. I'm gonna pick something that I think that it's valuable and that I'm gonna be able to sell. That's my look at it. I'm not saying Good Life because it's such a wonderful fragrance. Or I don't give a shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, makes sense totally. But I had no idea something like Good Life or the Davidoffs or Escada. I mean,
well, again, because some of these fragrances were not produced in such heavy, huge quantities. So that has enabled them to become a little bit more rare because there wasn't actually so much, so there weren't so many bottles out there to begin with.
If you can go back, let's say 5 years in time and give yourself today advice, what would it be?
I would have invested a lot more time in becoming a little bit more tech savvy and maybe working on my website a lot earlier than I did. That's the number one. That's probably the one and only thing.
Okay.
I would have, because I'm not a very tech savvy guy or computer literate guy. I get by. My website, people can go on it, and honestly, I say it right out. My website is not very good. It's just average. It's okay. It needs work to be done. It's only 3 years old, so I should have updated the website way before I did. But you fix your mistakes when you can.
Yeah.
So that was one where I decided, okay, it's about time where I do an upgrade on the website, and it probably needs an upgrade within the next year or two. But I wish I would have started, or I would have told myself to start a few years earlier.
Do you think it would be a good idea to stock up now on current designers? Let's say like Sauvage or Bleu or anything else that's hot out there
No,
for future?
no,
No?
no.
You
There's
seem...
no need to really.
Why?
Well, okay, so if it was a fragrance where let's say Bleu de Chanel was currently or just recently being made with more natural ingredients, then I would say, yeah, sure, stock up on it because you you know the naturals are long forgone. You're not going to be able to get them. But these fragrances have been made in the synthetic world.
Yes. So the chances of reformulation would be less.
But even if it is a reformulation, it's just going to be synthetic to synthetic. So
Yeah.
like,
so very similar to the original.
yeah, it's not like it's at some high standard to begin with.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Where if it's something like, okay, we'll talk about Obsession for Men. If it was its old original, that was made with high quality ingredients.
Mm.
So if that was there today and available, yeah, stock up on that shit. But Bleu de Chanel, why? There's nothing.
Right.
It's a big seller, but it's
No.
nothing special about it.
I get it. What is the name of this store? So the name of the store is Enchante Perfumes, like in the title, and the link to his website is in the description box. I think only my tech skills are worse than Anuja's.
I'm pretty bad.
Remember when Rive Gauche was $40 on fragrance? You know, when I first got into fragrance, Rive Gauche I found at my local Walmart for $25.
Yeah, the Rive Gauche Pour Homme, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
in
Walmart was
canister.
doing it. You know what they were using it as? Called a loss leader. Walmart and Shoppers Drug Mart do this.
That.
So if you remember the same thing, you remember the fragrance for men called Swiss Army for Men?
I do.
So Walmart and Shoppers Drug Mart used to 3 times a year, going back about 20 years ago, they'd put Swiss Army on sale for like $15.99 or $16.99. And it was below their cost. But the concept was they put a display of like 50 pieces out. People would go crazy over that shit. But guess what? When they left, they were walking out with razor blades, Band-Aids, milk, some other shit.
Kinds of stuff,
yeah,
right?
Olive oil, whatever the fuck else Walmart sells or whatever, a toy for their kid. So at the end of the day, when they're walking out, Walmart is losing $2 on that piece of Swiss Army, but they just made $2 on the Oreo packet that you bought.
Yeah, and amongst other things too.
Other stuff. So Rive Gauche Pour Homme was one of those that they did it one time. I saw it at Shoppers, and one time I saw it at Walmart, where they did it for $19.99.
Yeah,
the large 125 ml EDT spray, and it was produced specifically by YSL for Walmart and Shoppers Drug Mart.
It's interesting because I've never seen it at the bigger department stores. I've never seen it at a YSL counter.
Yeah, because it was not a big launch. It was a flop.
It's crazy,
but now you look at it.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it at Walmart, and I was really confused. And I remember reading about it on the internet, the perfume forums, and I couldn't even smell it. It was a blind buy.
Yeah,
I bought it without smelling it, and there was probably 3 or 4 more bottles, and I thought I should probably buy these, but. I didn't really just want to buy them for the sake of collecting or hoarding or reselling, but I think it would have been a wise idea to have picked those up. Is there anything else that By Man is gorgeous? I did have a bottle of By Man too, gifted to me by a very generous friend.
It's a nice friend to get a gift like that.
Yeah, I got people giving me stuff. Lovely.
I'm gonna go grab that Iquitos.
Sure.
I want you to smell
Iquitos.
it. Yeah.
What are Anuja's top 3 frags ever? I want you to think about that on your way up. What are your favorite fragrances? Oh, thank you. This is one of my favorite videos from you. I hope it came out because I came in once to see what the quality was like, and it looked like it was cutting in and out. So Anuj did remind me that there were some dead spots in here. And I wasn't able to see any of the comments while we were walking by. Here's a good one. Anuj, Floral Notes is asking, does he still have some things lying around he hasn't sold since he started the business? So for how long have you been in business?
Well, We started in 1979.
Damn, I was 5.
Yeah, I was.
I'm giving away my age.
I was 5 as well.
No way.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought you were like 10 years younger.
No,
than me.
no. I'm an old man.
Is that Iquitos?
Yeah.
All right, let's show this.
Careful, just watch it. The sprayer's defective. It's leaking everywhere.
There it is.
My personal.
I'm not sure if it's infamous or.
It's a wonderful fragrance.
It's very mentholated. It's got a nice bitter freshness contrasted with balsams.
What the nose you have there.
I smell, I don't know if this bottle, but I smell a huge jasmine. It's very smooth for something that's...
And in the bottle too. Do you see how it's sharp on one side here?
Yeah, why is that?
I discovered this, I think, through one of, I think Ramsey was talking about it, and I forget what it was that he said, what the inspiration was for it. I can't remember. He explained it really well, and I can't remember.
That's right.
It was supposed to mimic something. I think it was supposed to mimic
it's
the
not
jaw of a snake or the mouth of a snake or something like that. Something like that. I can't remember, but the way he explained it was awesome, and I just can't remember.
So it's not concentric. Usually bottles are very concentric, right?
By design made that way.
It is a leaky
Yeah,
sprayer.
it's fucked up.
Kind of like a tower. Reminds me of a tower. Okay, so let's see if there's any more comments. If there's no more comments, then I guess we'll just kind of close this off. And Stefan says it sucks. It is a ball sprayer. Spray it on skin. I'll spray it on skin before I leave. It's definitely jasmine.
Well, I guess if you don't like it, it's probably good that you didn't buy that bottle that you saw.
Yeah, I mean they're not cheap.
Although it wasn't. You know what? To be honest, because I remember in your stream, was it your stream or Richard's stream that you were talking about? I don't know, someone's stream. I think it was yours.
I think it was both. Like we're going back. Like
yeah, and I remember you posted on there that it's this price for this flash, this price for this.
That's
spray.
right.
They weren't bad, actually, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Do you find yourself like checking competitors' prices ever when you?
Once in a while I do, but then it gets a little bit too much, and then I start feeling like weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to take too long, and he's like, like I just feel like a creep.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, let me just stop.
I get it.
I will do it sometimes, once in a while, just quickly to see if I think something. Okay, let me see. Is this thing being discontinued? Is it available here and there? So I'll quickly just pop up 5 or 6 websites, do a little bit of research, and I'll stop.
How do you come to your pricing? Do you check eBay? Do you have like a list of...
Everything is based first and foremost on my cost and what I think I need to get out of it. And then from there, mark supply and demand.
Right. Okay.
If I have lots of stock of something, I don't feel the need sometimes to increase the price. If I have something where the stock is dwindling, I may feel the need to increase the price.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There you go. Tell people where they can find you, and I've dropped the link down below.
Yeah, they can visit our website at enchanteperfumes.com or eperfumes.ca. If anybody wants to use WhatsApp, I got a business WhatsApp account.
Is it okay if I link? I can link it in the description after.
Cool.
Sure. You've had several locations. I remember you're now at the
in the Woodbine Center.
We've been
there since day one, when the mall opened in '85.
I remember visiting you. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago at the Erin Mills Town Center.
Yeah, that was a franchise location originally, and then they retired, so I took it over from them in 2004. He retired, so I took it and renewed the lease once, and then I was like, no, thank you.
Do you find different locations do better? Well, sales wise?
Yeah, well, the Woodbine Center store we're in now, the mall, is a shithole. It's not a very good mall. It is a crap hole.
It's run down and it's
big time. But when it opened up, it was the shit.
It was the state of the art.
It was effing amazing, right? Because they had the indoor rides. It
merry-go-round.
was clean.
I think they had a roller coaster at one time.
They had a roller coaster in there. The people in the area were more affluent. There was more money there, and then they all moved to Woodbridge and Vaughan. So, our most successful store was when we were in Vaughan Mills. That was our flagship store there for 10 years.
Right.
We did really, really well.
Yeah.
That store helped open up a lot more doors to a lot more suppliers and a lot more vendors.
Can you imagine going back in time 5 or 10 years and finding the things that were in there, like the vintages? I think it was a big difference.
There weren't as many. Because a lot more has been discontinued in the last 20 years.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It was my absolute pleasure.
Awesome.
And feel free to jump on a stream whenever.
Yeah, we'll do for sure.
All right, there you guys. Anuj at Enchante Perfume. I'll link all the details down below. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with us. For those watching the recorded video later, drop a comment. Let us know you were here. Anyway, we'll see y'all again soon.